Alright guys, we're back with another video. Picking up where we left off, we have a health bar that changes health as we give damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it where we can give the damage to the health bar by clicking a button instead of coming in here and then changing this value, like say 50, and then pressing play. And now the health bar is at 50, which is good, but we want to see what it would look like in real time. Alright, so this part is going to be purely for testing. And it's also going to help us learn some other concepts that we're going to work on. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add a couple of buttons that will help us give and take away some damage of our player. I'm going to start the health bar out at maximum, like this, 100, 100. And this line right here, I'll give it a comment, and this comment is going to be updates our health. And we know that it's updating with our current health and then also what our maximum health is. Those are these two numbers. Alright, so let's make some buttons to change it while the game's playing. Alright, if we use function, it's input event, input event right there. Okay, so input event, how this function works is any event that you do on your keyboard or mouse, or any input that you give to the computer, like even moving your mouse left and right, is going to cause this function to play. And like if you move your mouse to the left, it's going to be the move left is going to be the event. Or if I pressed a key, it's going to say the event was the S key being pressed. So this function plays when any key or input is made. Okay, so there's a good comment for you guys there. Alright, so we need a couple of buttons. We want to have one for damage and one for healing. But before we can actually heal or damage anything, we need to give we need a variable for healing and our health. So we need a health variable and a maximum health variable. So I'm going to say current, let's do var current health, and I'm just going to make it maxed out, or 100 standard. Var max underscore health, and the max health is going to be 100. I can, swap these numbers out here too. So I'm going to say the first one is my current health, and then the second one, this is going to be my maximum health. Alright, so that's going to start us off at full health. Alright, let's choose our two buttons. Our two buttons are going to be whatever we decide, but I'm going to say if input dot, this is also capital, input dot is action pressed, just pressed. And I'm going to use the 1 key. Okay, so if you don't have this key programmed, like for instance, you can put any key you would like. So how you choose what key you're going to use, you're going to come up here into project settings, input map, and then this is where you can choose the name of what you want to do. I could just as easily do UI accept and then do enter or space or whatever else. You can see that I've added several keys. I'll show you how that works. So I could say heal, and then anytime I use the heal action, I could set a button for it. Let's say the key is 8. That's going to be my heal key. So now if I wanted to access the 8 key, I would type in heal, and it would while the game's running, 8 is the key that calls it. Now for simplicity, I'm just using the number twice. So that's how you add those buttons. So it's just straightforward. I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible for you guys. Okay, so if I press the 1 key, then this function is, then something's going to happen. We haven't written that yet. And then I'm going to make another one. And then I'm also going to do 2. So I have 2 keys here, 1 and 2. And I'm going to make a comment for myself. This one's going to be damage, or deal some damage. And then the next one, this is going to be heal. Heal the bar. Or, I don't know, heal's fine. Okay. So now when we push 1, we need to deal some damage to our health bar. So I'm going to say current health. We'll take current health. And then I'm just going to do the simplest possible way, minus equals, I don't know, 10. So if I push the 1 key, it's going to take away 10 health from our variable here. All right, so the note's going to be deal some damage. Now, after you subtract the health, yes, you technically did remove from this variable. Now it's 90 after you click the button, but your health bar is not going to update unless you actually update the health bar. And in order to update the health bar, we have to call this function and send it these 2 values. This updates the health bar. Okay, so we can subtract, and then we also need to update our health bar after we have done that. So I'm going to grab this line here, copy, paste, boom. So you subtract the health and then update the health bar. The max health hasn't changed in this case, so 100, it's still 100, but the current health will change. Now, so I can like hit that button over and over and over, and it's going to keep dealing 10 damage every time I press it, and I'll be able to see what my health bar is going to do in that case. Now, once you get to 0 or past to 0, you're going to want to be able to watch it happen again, so we need to heal our health bar. So it's going to look pretty much the same, except for I'm going to say current health is equal to, and I'm using equals to here because I don't want to put any thought into what's the case of how much do you need to add to put them back to current health or to the maximum health. So I'm just going to say, all right, if you get healed, heal them all the way up. So take current health and make it full health. So full heal. And just like we did in the other line here, if you can absolutely make that give yourself full health, but if you don't update the health bar, it's never going to actually update. So I'm going to copy this line again, and I'm going to put it right there. I guess I missed the C. What in the world is going on here? What is happening in this world? Okay. Color check. Okay, so now it's actually going to update the health. So let's test it out. So this one full heals. This one just deals 10 damage. Push play. Of course, that has to hide from me. Why would it just follow the rules? Okay, so there's my health bar. If I press 1, I lose some health. And if I keep taking away, once I get below our threshold that we made, it's going to change the color. If I keep pressing the button, eventually it's going to get into red and then to 0. And if I keep hitting the button, nothing happens. But then if I hit 2, it's going to heal me all the way up. And then I can repeat the process. And I can just basically test out my health bar, see what's happening. And this is going to be useful for the next half of this stuff here. All right, so we currently have a working health bar. We can test it and check it, and it's all working fine and dandy. But on that other health bar that I made here for you guys, you'll see that when I take some damage, there's a small little red health bar that chases after it. So you can see the immediate damage, boom, real quick, but then that red bar follows behind it slowly, giving like an added effect. We're going to go ahead and add that into our health bar, and I'll show you how you do that. Okay, so here is the one we're working on. We need to do a little bit of setup here, so please follow along very closely. If you get lost, pause and go back in the video. Okay, so we have a health bar. I'm going to go ahead and add another health bar. This one's going to be the delayed health bar, so I'm going to give this a different name, and I'm using really long names here for your benefit. not necessarily for our simplicity when typing it out. But this bar is the one going to be the one that delays behind it. This bar is going to be the one up in the front, and it's going to immediately happen. I'm going to go ahead and change this bar's color to green. I want this bar to be green so I can see it, and I know that the front bar needs to be green and the back bar is going to be red. So basically what's going to happen is there's going to be two bars. The one's in the front, it's going to update immediately, and then there's going to be another bar that's has this exact same value of it. So it's going to hold the same amount of health, but it's going to react slowly. So it's going to give that added effect. Okay, so you got to think of these bars are basically stacked on top of each other. So you're going to need to make sure that when you add the second bar that it's not covered up by the first one. So that means we're going to need to remove the underside of the front bar. Otherwise, it will cover up the last one. And we'll put the underside on the back bar. So I'm going to remove this one from the front. And then I'm going to go to my back health bar here. And I am going to, I'll leave this one here. I'll remove the over part because that's on the one in the front. And then I'm going to change the color of this one. Oops, I need to do that in tint. I'm going to change the color to red. Ooh, that's good. And I just need to add some value here. If it's 50 and it's the same as the one in front, they're going to overlap each other. So I need to be able to see it. So I'm going to put 80 here so I can see that back bar. And the green one is going to cover it up. So like if I add some, you can see it starting to get over it or whatever. It's going to be in front of it. So the delayed one is the one behind it. This other one's in the front. All right, so that completes our setup. We just basically took the under away and put it on the one that's in the back, so the under part doesn't cover up that health bar. All right, we are also going to need to add another node. This node is called a tween node. Let's read this here. It says, smoothly animates a node's properties over time. So what this node does is, whereas the front bar just pops into place immediately, this little tween here is going to make it where that property, the value, instead of being instant, it can take a little bit of time to get to the next spot. So I'm going to say tween, and I'll call this tween delayed progress. That's probably way too long. Tween, or I'll say delay tween. Delay tween. Okay, let's go back to our code here. So we have three things. We got the tween. We've duplicated another bar and set it up. And now we're going to mess with the code here again. Let's go all the way up to the top. Just like we did, I think in the first video or maybe the second, we got access to this health progress bar. We need to get access to the two new things that we just added, and it's going to be very similar to what we already have here. I'm going to go ahead and use the same names, so I'm going to copy this exactly. You don't have to do this. You can make whatever name you would like for that variable, and a lot of times when you do that, you want to make it shorter. It's really long right here. You'll see why it needs to be shorter in a minute, but I want that whole name in there so you guys can see it. All right, so this, I'm actually going to put a note here for me on this one. Let me get rid of this. I'm going to push this little button right here. This is the button that it'll hide that side over and give me a little bit more room to type. So this is the bottom bar. And then this next one is the top bar. All right, so let's go ahead and grab this tween. So I'm going to say on ready var and then delay underscore tween is equal to get underscore node, and then we're getting that delay tween. All right, I'm going to try and get through this next part real fast. We're at 14 minutes on this video, and I don't want it to be Megatown long. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to make another follow-up video that explains this tweening part a little bit better. But for the most part. Here we go. So this first one, this is the one that updates instantly. This one updates instantly. We are going to want to use this delay tween. The delay tween works like an animation, so you have to tell it to actually start. But here's how it's going to work. We're going to say, I'm going to make some notes with this along with this. So we're going to say delay tween dot interpolate property. So that's what these do. The first one is the tween, and this is the function we're calling from it. Now this function, what it does is it interpolates one of these any of the properties. It could interpret any property. We want to interpret the value, and what value do we want to interpret on? Well, we want to use the delayed one. So I'm going to grab this delayed bar. So I'm going to put right there. I'm going to say you're interpreting that bar, and we want to adjust the value of this bar. So this one is the node that we're interpreting. The next part, and this is really long, but it's very useful too. So you need to know how to do this. Okay, so this is the property we're changing. And then I believe the next one is like the starting point. Where does this value start from? What part do you want to, like, imagine like you're walking from one side of the room to the other. You start somewhere and then you end at the other place. We're going to start at that node's current value. So that's the starting location. Or I could just say start from. I don't know. That's fine right there. Starting location. And then we're going to, so where are we going to? We want to end at the player's current health. Because they're taking some damage, and when they take damage, let's say they were at full health, so this would be 100, and the damage may have been 30, so they need to end at 70. So it's going to go from 100 to 70. So starting location, ending location. And that's the value that we're interpreting. We're interpreting a value going from a starting location to an ending location. And how quickly do you want to get there? We're going to do 0.8 seconds. So time. How long does that need to take? And then the next part is, I'm going to explain this more in another video. You can just put that. The last part there says, the short version of this is how do you want to get from one side of the room to the other. So how and how. So you could run across the room, you could jump, you could crawl, you could walk, you could slink, slither. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways to move from one side of the room to the other. And this is how the program interprets it from you. How do you get from one side of the room to the other? And then, like I said, this is an animation, so we need to tell the animation to start. So we're going to say delay tween dot start. All right, and I'll make a note, play animation. And feel free to watch that again. You can also control click, and it will take you to the notes to show you the stuff that I was just filling in. Object, property, path, initial property, which is also node path, the initial value, the final value, the duration of how long, and the two types of travel. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and hit play. Now whenever I take damage, you'll see that that little red bar follows behind it. And there we go. That's working great. Now, if you spam the key really fast, you'll notice that that red bar doesn't have time to catch up. So it's not broken, and it's not working. You just got to give the bar at least 0.8 seconds to catch up. Because if you smash it and then do it again, the red bar never had a chance to catch all the way up. Because it's taking 0.8 seconds to get from one side of the value to the other. All right, that's in for this video. I know it was really long. I'm going to make another video to explain tweens a little bit better. See you guys in the next one.